Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is our friend Joshua Jenkins. Hey, Josh.
Hi, friend. Happy whatever day of the week it is.
What is today? Today is Tuesday. Well, it is great to have you here with us, Josh. And usually we're talking about BGSAH, but today we are talking about KuchuQwanzaa, which I know plays a special place in your heart. So actually, let's just talk about that. So talk to us a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
Cool. So, KuchuQwanzaa is an interesting celebration in that it was created by two friends of mine, two late friends of mine, Marcus White and Dr. Lewis Graham. Many moons ago in 2009, when they were still in partnership with one another, they decided they were both in Greensboro, North Carolina at the time. They both decided that they wanted to celebrate Kwanzaa, but they
Mm-hmm.
also wanted to use that celebration as a moment to affirm and support Black queer identities and communities. And so
Mm-hmm.
they decided that they would, instead of just following a normal Kwanzaa celebration format, they decided they wanted to actually infuse and create a Black queer spin on Kwanzaa. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
how KuchuQwanzaa became. Kuchu being a East African word for LGBTQ identifying, coined by
Ah.
queer East African folk.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is sort of the beginning, both with the name, but also it's infused throughout the principles and throughout the daily celebrations, etc. They decided they wanted to do that. They did that for a couple of years. Eventually, they did split in terms of relationship with one another. And KuchuQuanzaa, I think, sort of got lost in the life that we lead lives
Yes,
and
yes.
work and all these other kinds of things. But in the wake of their passings, because Lewis passed in December of 2019, Marcus in the summer of 2020,
Ah.
um, them being lost within a year of each other, I was sort of searching for a way to honor. Marcus was my longest friend of the two of them. Marcus and I met in college, and so one of my most beloved folks in my life. And so I was like, how can I honor these folks? How can I do this? We were in the midst of a pandemic, still are.
Mhm.
And so I was like, what if I can bring back this as a way to sustain their legacies, talk about them in the ways that anybody who will listen will let me,
Yes,
and
yes.
carry this on. So yeah.
And that's so important and also touching. What can people expect from Kuchu Kwanzaa?
Yeah, so it's really community centered. And so I think folks will realize that while it's in alignment with traditional Kwanzaa in terms of symbols, a lot of the symbols are being utilized. They have a different context, or they
Uh-huh.
have a different framing around them that asks us to center Black and queer identities more specifically. It's the idea that oftentimes around the holidays we are spending time with given families, and oftentimes we have chosen families that are, especially in the queer community and the same gender loving communities. And so Kuchu Kwanzaa actually asks us to root ourselves in those kinds of ideals around community.
Yeah.
And so that manifests in lots of different ways. Sometimes the symbols that are being placed are actually, symbols from uh, queer communities and queer lives. So my altar had like a lot of I think I pulled out my Noah's Ark DVDs, and I had like my Elan Harris books, and like,
hmm
like the altar becomes sort of a dedication to those things, in addition
Oh,
to the
that is
ways that you can
beautiful.
celebrate daily. Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. So when does it begin this year and for how long does it run?
So it still follows that same sort of 7 days.
Yes.
There are nine principles. So it runs obviously from, we think about, Kwanzaa running from Christmas to New Year's Day.
hmm
Um and it runs that same calendar, but instead of the 7 principles, which fit nicely in that sort of period, they
Yeah.
actually bumped it up to 9 principles. So there's
Ah.
actually a couple of days where you're observing more than one principle,
Oh.
but it still follows that same sort of timeline and structure. And it's been, especially because I brought it back first as a little test run last year when we were sort of in the midst of lots of lockdowns and quarantines and all those
Yeah.
kinds of things. I had sort of retooled it to be something that could be celebrated in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is that you can sort of engage with it how you want to. If you want it to be a very personal process where you do it solo in your home, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel comfortable and have the proper vaccination things and testing and
Mm-hmm.
all these other kinds of things, you can do some of that celebration with other folks who
Mm-hmm.
might be celebrating as well.
Oh, that is so important. I'm seeing family this week. I got my booster yesterday. Feeling it in my
Yes.
soul right now.
On the darkest day of the year, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, yes, yes. Happy winter.
Right.
So that is so great. And I mean, Kwanzaa is such a special thing and such a special celebration within the Black community already, celebrating the end of the year, celebrating new beginnings, celebrating, just the cycle of life. And being able to do that from a queer perspective as well, a queer Black perspective, is something so special and so important for so many queer Black people. So how can people get more information about it, and how can they follow, keep up, and all of that?
Yeah, so you can go and find, I made a website last year that's got the complete rundown, the entire framework of how to celebrate from start to finish,
Mm-hmm.
on KuchuQwanzaa.com. Also this year I decided to up it a little bit, and create some social accounts. So I have an Instagram, which
Mm-hmm.
I'll be sort of, especially during the period from the 26th to the 1st, I'll be doing daily sort of
Yeah.
hellos from the Instagram account. You
Mm-hmm.
can follow on Instagram. You can also follow on Facebook. There's also a private Facebook group for folks who have opted in historically, way back even to 2009, for folks who might want
Oh.
to have a more of a private connection, and talk about some of the things that might be popping up. So that's also an option for folks if they want to engage more closely in a community with other folks who are all across the world, because some folks have been jumping into the Facebook group from multiple continents, which is kind of cool. So
Okay. I love
yeah.
that. I love that. So everyone, the link www.KuchuQwanzaa.com will be in the description. Make sure that you get into it. This is really, really wonderful. Thank you, Joshua, for keeping this legacy alive and, keeping things that really bring the community together alive so that we are able to take part. So thanks so much. And thanks so much for being here to talk about it.
Always, always. I appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you so much. And to our viewers, please follow Team Racine on all forms of social media. And most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.
Bye.